think we would be remiss if we just didn't talk a little bit about the Sunday Night Baseball
Oh,
broadcast on
yes.
ESPN. Um,
White
and
Sox at Houston.
White Sox at Houston, ESPN gets the broadcast, and we tend to make fun of national broadcasts a little bit on this show. And Smitty brought up a great point. I don't know if it was earlier this season or last season. We get a little bit heavy on those guys because we're used to our local broadcasts who are really inundated with the team. But we've made fun with their lack of knowledge on the team, but they're trying to compress all that information in a
Yeah.
week's time. But this,
Matt Spiegel from Parkins and Spiegel on 6 7 Score, he's got a term for it. He calls it out of town stupid, which I think is a
yeah,
perfect way to describe it. It's like we're here, we watch it every day, so we just are going to know more than somebody that parachutes in that has to cover all 30 teams. We're just going to have
yeah.
a deeper knowledge base, and they're going to do their best. But yeah, we ran into some issues with the Sunday night ESPN Sunday night crew.
Yeah, and this one isn't so much about that. It's more about how one thing that should be noted about home runs sometimes in Houston, it's sort of plays like a Yankee Stadium in left field where a fly ball can leave the field. And JJ, how do you say this guy's name? Majevic?
I call it Manischewitz, but I don't think that's right.
Manischewitz. Oh my. That was, who called him Manischewitz was Stone the other night accidentally, and it was hilarious.
I think that's the best way to pronounce it.
Yeah, so he hits basically they did talk about it in the broadcast. What would have been an out in every other stadium, even Yankee Stadium. So a fly ball goes out for his first home run. And
was that his first hit of his career too?
Was it? I didn't.
I could be wrong.
I didn't. But... Oh yeah, right. Maybe it was both.
It was a big deal. It's a milestone ball, first home run at least. So typically those players want that ball for longevity or for posterity in their trophy case when their careers are long done.
Yeah.
But there's always the mitigating factor of how to get that ball back from the fans.
And ESPN kind of let it consume the broadcast where Smitty, I think, termed it best. It was sort of like it turned into, was it pawnbrokers or you were calling it? Or Pawn Stars? Or
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball turned into an episode of Pawn Stars where they were talking about the negotiations, what you should be able to get for that ball, how valuable that ball is. Let me call in an expert here. What's this really worth?
Buster Olney had to go to talk with the kid who caught the ball and like walk us through the negotiations and what was happening.
Can we talk about that kid for a second? Like,
sure, go ahead.
When I first
Bobby,
I don't have the great
Bobby from King of the Hill.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have the greatest vision, but I didn't realize I was a kid when I first saw him. I thought it was like a middle-aged man. It was an odd looking, I guess he's probably a 15, 16-year-old, but I'm making fun of the kid. But I had no idea it was a child at first. He had his younger brother with him, which would definitely look like a child at least. But I thought they were trying to negotiate with a 35-year-old man, which made some sense, I guess. But this is when it was revealed that he was in his teens and subsequent interviews. How many innings did this coverage?
Just about every inning. From the point it happened.
I think Buster made 2 trips into the stands to talk to him.
Yeah.
Not one, but 2.
And then, he had originally asked, I think he originally asked for a JV, a Verlander signed jersey. He was initially told no, but then around the 8th inning, we found out JV said yes. And so
I think it's because of the national TV coverage put pressure on the Astros and JV even to give the kid a fucking jersey. Let's do this.
So he ended up with 6 box seat tickets or something, 6 tickets to batting practice,
access to the field. This kid is a baller. He knows what he's doing when he's negotiating. He milked that for all it's worth. So
was it a signed Altuve ball?
I think he wanted that. They said they couldn't do that, and then he is getting that.
And the JV jersey.
The JV jersey is en route. I think he's getting a signed ball from JJ Manischewitz. Hopefully his last name is spelled correctly or pronounced correctly. This kid came up on loot for sure. But I think the only reason that happened was because Buster Olney and the rest of ESPN just browbeat the Astros into bowing to his will.
I mean, between that on the Sunday night broadcast and then when they have to take up like almost an entire half inning with visits from the manager, and you're not even really the ball games in a tiny little screen. I mean, it's like, I get you're trying to like set your broadcast since it's a national broadcast apart and give the general baseball audience education on these two teams who you don't see all the time if you're not in Chicago and Houston. I understand all that, but a lot of that stuff just takes away from the baseball game.
Yeah.
And there's some exciting stuff that happens sometimes.
I like that in small doses, but when you're missing key plays, when it's not even mentioned what's happening on the field for 5-10 minutes at a time, it's ridiculous. You're right. They're trying to do something different, trying to make it a big show, for the national broadcast, but it really detracts from the game eventually. Like that the kid getting all sorts of loot from the Astros is a fun story, but we could talk about that after the game. I certainly don't need 3 innings of in-depth coverage of that. So I think they're desperate to find different ways to entertain, and it just gets way too overboard. I watch baseball because I enjoy baseball, not the ancillary stuff. I can take that stuff with a smaller serving of that, I guess, is what I'm looking for.
Word Hole Media.